Hello, everyone. This is Lindsey Duvall, your host of Business Back and Forth, and we have a special episode today. If you didn't know, March is actually National Women's History Month, and I have two extraordinary women here today with me, just Jen Jones and Krista, and we are going to run through how they have been impacted by their careers in the tech industry, and we get to learn more about who they are and some words of wisdom for the next generation of women in the tech industry. So let's dive in. So, hi, Krista. I'm so glad you've joined us today on this podcast. And I just want you to be able to introduce yourself. And I have a couple questions that I want to ask, which is what has been your primary focus in the tech industry? And what do you enjoy most about what you do?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. Love the business back and forth, and I'm glad to be doing this with Jen today. So, my primary focus, and I've been in the industry for almost 25 years, so it's been quite a while, and most of that has been in user experience. So, but probably primarily, I would say, is leading design, strategic design within the payments and financial industry of experiences. So that's been my focus. I love all realms of user experience. And I think what I enjoy most about my job is when I receive the feedback of that I have made a difference in someone's life. And I know that sounds kind of general, but it can be, just seeing someone in a usability test, or once we put something in production and receive that positive feedback, like that wow, like thank you so much type of feedback that we can get sometimes. That's what I really enjoy most, and um, enabling people to do their job better, and live better and happy in their interactions, with what the tools that they're using. So
I
yes.
love that. I love that. And I love that you just have that type of knowledge that you can share, which we'll dive even more into as we go throughout the podcast and just kind of lean in a little bit more to that. So,
I actually have a question, Krista. So, since our audience is bigger than just tech, what is user experience, and what does that mean to you?
What does user experience mean to me?
Just explain it to everybody.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a good question, Jen, because I have found through the years that there is probably a little more of a stereotype that user experience is more UI. And I get asked what I do, and I think it naturally just goes into, oh, she designs websites, or, creates graphical images. But really what user experience is the human computer interaction, the psychology, of the human being interacting with the digital application, and how you go about designing it for the end user, or in our world, we say the persona that is behind that application. So what steps are needed to take to really empathize and understand? Is there's a lot of research involved up front, and going through that design thinking methodology in order to really solve for the problem and the pain points of that user. So that's that's what user experience is to me, Jen. And I could go on and on. I think about it, but thank you for asking that question. I ask you it back? Would you add anything to that?
No, I think you nailed it, and I also think it's one of those that doesn't get the credit it deserves. It's kind of like an unsung hero a little bit if you're outside in the industry, and I feel like it's so important. And it's, to me, I've noticed the products that I've worked on when we've had a strong UX team with us, and they've been working on the user experience. They really understand the personas and the problems and can empathize with everyone. The products are better, right? Like, we lead with that empathy, and we're making sure not only are we solving the business problem, but we're solving it in a way that makes sense for the users, right? Like, I need to take you through this journey And I need you to understand why you're going through the journey, but I also need to make sure you go through it in a way that is not cumbersome and easy for anybody just to pick it up and go through it. So I think it's one of those that's so important, but it's not flashy and you don't hear a lot about it, but you guys are really in the back just making sure everything happens.
Right.
And I already can tell everybody that I'm going to learn so much from these two women today. And I have no doubt that you will too. And I just love even learning more about the tech industry because it's still new to me personally. So thank y'all again. So, so Jen, I have the same questions for you. So what has been your primary focus in the tech industry and what do you enjoy most?
Sure. So I've been in product for 20 years. Totally fell into it, and it turned out that it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I'm a total product geek. For me, I love the jigsaw puzzle of trying to get the most benefit out of a release. So we all know that, delivering software, you have releases, you're trying to meet dates, get business value out there, but there's a lot that goes on where you're trying to figure out, how do we get the most value in this time? And to me, that's the fun part. I love having the discussions and just really talking to people to make them understand the value, both from the business side and the developers. And I'm always really proud when the developers can talk in a demo and they can talk about, this is why we're doing this. And this is here's the value we're bringing. When a developer can sell that and talk about it the way I can, I feel like it's a win across the board because they're then developing with empathy and with understanding that problem instead of just coding what we ask them to. They're really understanding the why, and so you get better releases and better products because of it.
That's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I love it.
Yeah. So, Chris, do you have any questions? Kind of pulling on that string for Jen at this time.
Yeah, I think she makes a good point. And it just takes me back to really the importance, I think, of having a strong knit, cross-functional team when you're working, I think, with your, either the product manager, researchers, the developers that you're working with and designing with, and having them also be with you in that, empathizing and understanding the journey, and so they can bring that to their work as they take on their responsibilities of their job and their roles as well. So I think that's really an important point. And it kind of reminds me of how I got into UX and working with a developer, years ago. And I can go down that road and share that story a little bit, but it's very important. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, Krista, what advice would you give to younger women entering the tech industry?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. It really just comes down to knowing who you are. That's what I think. And it really doesn't matter if you're a woman or not, honestly. But maybe I think, though, for a woman, it's natural sometimes to try to be a little, especially in the business world, a little bit maybe more try to put on the persona of what stereotypically you might think that you should be in whatever role it is. And that may stem, I think, I don't know, from cultural or societal conventions or whatever, but you know who you are. And I think and sometimes it takes a while to figure that out, but everyone has a superpower. And once you figure that out, or what your passion is, go after it, no matter what. Be you, do you, and make yourself the best that you can be, is the advice I have to give. And that's kind of how, back to my story, how I kind of fell into a UX. I didn't say one day I want to do this. I followed my passion, and I never thought of myself as a woman in the tech industry, really. And I don't know why, but it may be how I was raised. It may be, I'm not sure, because I kind of just fell into it. but that's what I did, and I didn't let anything get in my way, and I went out after doing what I wanted to do, creating the job role that I wanted to be in. Even, I was the first usability analyst ever in my company, um, and yeah, so that's the advice I have.
I love that. I mean, just knowing as women that even the three of us just sitting in this room, it is. Jen and I just talked about this of just, having imposter syndrome sometimes. And just knowing who you are and pulling on that too of just going, who am I at this stage in your early career? And just know that that's going to evolve over time. I
Right.
mean, I'm not the same individual I was when I stepped into my career path 19 years ago. I mean, it's one of those things that you also have to give yourself some grace to know that you're going to stumble along the way. Your passions may change.
True.
Things in your career, you may have to pause, put it down, and go learn some other skills and learn new things, and then pick it back up and go, you know what? Now I feel like I'm ready again, or an opportunity is opened up for you, and you get back into that and you just run with it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with like what Krista was saying. It really resonated with me that just being unapologetically you, right? You can't like, for me, I just want to look back and know that I nailed it. Like I did the best I could in every aspect of my life, and certainly have not executed that flawlessly up until this point, but that's what I strive for, right? And I think the thing is the more you can step into your true self and your true powers, your superpowers, and you know what those are, the rest will work itself out. Like you'll shine, even if you're in the wrong position, you'll start seeing those opportunities that show up. They'll show up because you're bringing your best self, because you're being who you are. People are going to be attracted to that, and you're going to find what you should find, and the opportunities will open up for you. And I think too, in tech, one of the things that I think we don't do a good job of is showing all the different fields you can go into, right? I think tech has typically been like development, but there's QA, there's automating QA, there's design, there's product, there's thousand other things, and analysts, there's all these different positions you can be. Sure, almost everybody can fit into one of those, right? Whether you're creative or super analytical or wherever you are, I really think if you wanted to get into.
So, Jen, what do you think are some of the most significant challenges that women face today, and how can we work towards overcoming?
This is so antiquated in a way, but I feel like we are just still pulled in 1,000 different directions. And I think companies are recognizing that work-life balance is super important, and knowing that I can't give everything 100%. Like I will burn out, I will whatever. So there has to be some give and take in my life. I think that's huge because I feel like as women, we are caretakers. We're all these roles. And like, I even kind of feel like I'm a caretaker within my team. Like I always want to make sure everybody has what they need and everything, so that carries over. And I think understanding that I have to put myself first and I have to take care of these dress on saying some of this stuff, but I think it's true. I think we burn out, and I think we
Yeah.
just do so much for everybody that we forget that we have to take care of ourselves.
Right.
That's what I would say.
That's a great advice and kind of personal question, but like, what tips, Jen, do you have for putting yourself first and making sure you're doing that?
Yeah, I'm horribly bad at it. It's usually like I realize I didn't, and then I burn out, and then here I am like struggling. But what I try to do is I preserve my mornings for myself. So I get up extra early in the mornings. So that first hour is
Mhm.
mine. And it could be playing on my phone. It could be journaling. I try to do like morning pages every morning to get stuff out.
Right.
And I use that time selfishly and seriously, like maybe I just hit snooze for an hour. I'm okay with that some days, but like that 1 hour is mine. And then that way I know at least I was served.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can go about the day knowing that at least I took a little bit of care for myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you do something like that, Krista?
I do the same. It's that first time in the morning, and usually it's a walk, or I exercise in the morning and get it out of the way. But that's my time, and it helps me, I think, take that focus I need for the day. Things go through your brain as you're walking or having that time, or you're journaling, right? And it sets your mind for the day, and what you want to focus on. And I think I always tell my team, or take care of you, and everything else will follow.
Yes.
And I truly believe that, because you're number one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too, if you like even take that and you just even apply it to your job, right? Like if you do the best you can at your job, because we're all here to serve everybody else. Like our roles are all here to serve everybody, right? And so if everybody is my customer and I do the best job I can, then that means my circle around me is all set up to do the best job that they can do. And so I feel like it kind of like just
Exactly.
And I would have to say, I mean, I just always looked at it as self-care. I have been using that time myself, like y'all said, in the mornings and stuff. And unfortunately, I need to spend more time doing that, at least in the morning times. And for me, I'm such a night owl. But on Monday mornings, I signed up for masterclass, and I sit there for an hour out on my porch with my cup of coffee, and I listen to a masterclass. And it's just adding one more thing to learn when I set that time aside. Because if not, here goes my 10 emails going off and all these communication programs and everything else, and the world's already pinging at me.
Right.
And I want to go jump and do that, but I go, no, Lindsey, you have to take time for yourself. You have to just, even if it's learning something, even if it's just sitting out there on the porch listening to music in the morning and having some meditation time, you've got to do that, because if not, you really are going to get burnt out, because we are pulled in so many different directions all the time from everyone, personal life and business. And just being able to turn that off is still hard for me. I'll admit that it's separating, and when do you clock out? I never feel like I really truly can a lot of times, but I'm working on it, and it's setting those boundaries and being able to do those type of things. So, Krista, I want to ask you, what do you think are some of the most significant challenges that women face today, and how we can work towards overcoming them?
Yeah, I wish it wasn't so, but it's not. I still feel. I think Jen, you said something about the 1950s. I think we're doing better than the 1950s, but there still is gender bias and stereotypes and unequal pay and things like that. And unfortunately, the one thing that you can do is control what you can. Put yourself, I think, in an environment where you feel good, that that diversity is embraced, and you can, if you're looking for a new job or seeking a new opportunity, look at what the company's values are around that. Talk to people and see if they like working there and what it's like. The other things I think that you can control are making sure you have a support network or someone. And it's maybe not networking, but it's building really true, genuine relationships with people, and maybe seeking a person out that you admire. Or there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help, and they would love to mentor, or you can mentor sometimes, and that gives you that same back and forth that you need. But yeah, the other thing, as far as like unequal pay, there is there's nothing wrong with working with your manager and asking and your HR partner and doing it in a way that's professional, and just to, hey, I was just wondering, if my current pay situation is on par, and can we take a look at it closer? So those are things you can control, and I'm sure there's many, many other things, but take that upon yourself, I think, to do that, and so you're happy, and that's important, because if you have those feelings that maybe you're just not in a good environment for whatever reason, don't put yourself there.
And I think that's important too. I think I totally agree, Krista, because I think I know I've been in positions where I gave and I gave and I gave, and it wasn't a healthy environment.
Mhm.
And I finally hit that breaking point where, I was like, okay, today's the day. Like, I've had it. This is enough, But in retrospect, I should have left 6 months prior.
Right.
Especially, it's just like they're not good situations. And I think there's so many opportunities today. Don't just look. It's okay to be your best advocate. You have to be. Nobody else is going to get your back like you are.
Yep.
So whether it's fighting for equal pay or making sure the work environment's healthy for you, have the conversations. If nothing changes, then you need to leave, and you don't even owe them that conversation. If you're just watching and you're seeing these are not my peers. Yeah, don't feel bad. Get out. And I do, but I am encouraged though. I think this next generation coming up, they're going to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah.
They don't. I don't think they have that old I don't want to say we have old school mentality, but our tolerance is a little higher for things. And I think I can from the younger kids I'm seeing, they would bail so fast.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about them. And I'm really actually kind of looking forward to how they shape the future of the workplace because of their new attitudes and, just not putting up with things that we have tolerated.
Yeah. And I think it comes another layer to that is I watched my parents sit in companies for 10, 15, 20 years, my grandparents. And I'm like, why? And I've learned in my career that, it's great and you want to stay within a company. I'm not saying jump around because that's not what I encourage personally. However, you got to give a company a chance and stuff. But when you see that things are not aligning and things were not sold to you the way that they were, which I have stepped in many of rooms and did interviews and they sold you the dream and you get in there and it's sticker shock. Once you get in there and then I start calling it the rose colored glasses start falling off about 3 months in. And then I'm going, oh no, what did I get myself into? And it starts to present itself. And like you said, I mean, you need to know when to bail. Or at least, my grandmother gave me the advice, don't ever just quit a job without something else being lined up. At least go look, apply, see what you can do, see what else you can line up before jumping out there. But I will say, I was at a company that I was just burnt out. I was having migraines all the time. I was making myself sick. I was stressed out. I was just so put out. I was being angry and just had an attitude every day walking into work. And I'm like, this is not what I need to be doing. I am here 40 hours a week with these people and it's not productive. And then, you don't want to be the negative Nancy in the office and stuff like that. So it's just, I finally was just like, I'm out. I had applied for jobs and jobs and jobs and just couldn't get anything at the time. And that's when I jumped ship and I took a chance and I just opened up my own business. And I said, let's just give this a try for a while and let's see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, then guess what? I can go back to corporate world. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, I'm going to fight like hell to make sure that I keep this company going and being able to stay true because of the fact that, like we all just said, it's staying true to who you are, but also just learning that you don't have to tolerate things because we're trying to keep a job a lot of times. Yeah. So, Krista, what value do you feel that women bring to the technology industry?
I'm going to use the word empathy, and I feel like I'm overusing it and have been a lot recently in talking, but it's and the other thing that comes to my mind is women's intuition, that old saying of women's intuition. But I think that all has to do with empathy and EQ skills that we have. And I don't, being able to look at things maybe from various perspectives because of that. And I think that's helped me in my job over the years is, and and not that I've worked with men that can do that too. So I don't think it's necessarily just a woman's, but there are definitely studies that show that women have higher empathy, and so I think there's a fact around that. Why is that? I don't know. Scientifically, I'm curious to kind of really truly understand that. But I do think that we we have that superpower as a woman, and it has helped me, like I said, in my profession, and a lot of what I do, we do, right, as designers, is empathy and empathizing with the user. So and when you're looking at the journey of the experience, being able to really look at it from all different angles. One other thing, and it goes back to kind of one of the other questions you had asked, Lindsay, is just, we take so much upon ourselves also as women, because we're great at it. We can multitask like and I don't want to male bash my husband, you give him something, he's like very, but has to stay focused on it, and he's very good at it. My husband is very supportive, by the way, and I love him, but just he likes to focus on one thing, where I'm able to maybe be in the kitchen cooking, I am listening to a podcast, and vacuuming, and doing something else all at the same time. So we have that ability, that superpower. So
yeah. I feel like that's that weight of the world on our shoulders, and man, can we carry it as women.
For sure.
So Jen, what value do you feel that women bring to the technology industry?
Yeah, I kind of piggybacking off of what Krista said. I think one of the things we bring is just being able to hear people differently, like in that we listen differently, and we hear differently, and we hear what's not being said. So like, I think it's very natural for men. I feel bad saying that because not everybody's the same, but when we're on calls and we're trying to make sure everybody understands something or everybody is being heard, I think it's easy for people to not bulldoze, but like, you don't pay attention to the silence, right? I think we're really good at paying attention to the silence and what's not being said and reading between the lines. And like, that tone was a little different than I'm used to hearing. So you dig in. And I don't know a lot of people that do that. I think it needs to be done more often, but like, sometimes it'll be a team thing, but I think we're naturally trained, like just the way we are caregivers, and we are full of empathy. I think we just it's very natural for us to do that. So we're able to have deeper conversations or pick out things that may just get brushed off or overlooked, and not in a mean way or not in an irresponsible way, but just something that's said. And it's like maybe off the cuff, and it's like, whoa, 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 that was a big comment. Like that, that little word, or the word wasn't quite right. Mm-hmm. I think we're able to pick up on that a lot faster than others because of the way we operate and the way that we, are natural caregivers and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm. But we're also just wanting to just figure out why, and that what is going on? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah. And I think we're not afraid to ask those questions, mm-hmm. right? Like asking the softer questions, I think is very natural for us. Mm-hmm. And it's, part of who we are. And I think it allows us to bring something a little different to the table.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, ladies, this has been such a pleasure hearing your insights into the technology industry and learning more about each of you. So thank you everyone for joining us on our Business Back and Forth special episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.